Right there.
Hi, welcome to Tuff and Tender. I'm your host, Ric Drasin, along with my beautiful, gorgeous, most lovely woman I know, co-host, Inna Tuler. Say hi, Inna, to my friends out there. All right, we're here to talk about relationships, the tough side, the tender side, how you handle certain situations, because I see the news every morning where these people are going crazy in relationships and stalking and running people down in cars and going... It's not the solution to solve a problem. The solution is to sit and talk about certain things, and sometimes people don't want to talk. And one of the things that Inna and I have talked about in the car with the wind down and my hair blowing and all this stuff, as we talk and drive, is keeping the relationship alive, haven't we?
All the time.
You've told me that from the time that you met me until the time that you won't meet me again, which will never happen, that you got to keep a spark in a relationship, right?
All the time.
What's your theory on that?
You have to keep it fresh. You have to keep it renewed. You know, it's like, try to keep it like it's the first time every time.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's like 51st dates.
Yeah, 51st dates.
So our date is the 10th of every month.
That's the renewal.
That's the renewal.
And we automatically renew it, but it's still renewal. I'm still anticipating the 10th of the month every month.
Yeah, it's not that there's an option that we're not going to renew. It's just the renewal, and it's a dinner and presents.
There's a celebration.
And a celebration and surprises out of the box. All right, so to keep the relationship alive and keep a spark in it.
Surprises is a good thing.
Surprise is a great thing.
Yeah, it's a nice surprise. You listen to each other. You kind of get the hint of what's good and what's that, and then nice surprise, good surprises.
Right.
It's a good thing.
It's kind of like expecting, not knowing what to expect, right?
On a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
All right, I had taken some questions off the internet, several of them, and we won't have time to do them all, so I'm going to kind of pick and choose what we're going to talk about. But one of the questions was, and this is not for you or for me, but this is for you to ask your spouse or whoever out there. What's the one secret you've been too embarrassed to tell me? Like, everybody goes through life and they have certain secrets they can't discuss. Maybe it's an old boyfriend, an old girlfriend, or a phone call, or something that they made a mess in their pants. Who knows? I mean, these things happen. So, what's your take on that? I mean, are there things that you think they should open up and tell everything?
Well, it depends how embarrassed they are by it. But I think in a relationship, when you trust each other, there is nothing embarrassing. You can just open up and talk about everything. It's a matter of honesty, a matter of trust, and a matter of love. If you trust the other person, and if you're building your life with it, you better open up and talk about anything. And if you're not able to, then you got to solve it.
All right, so, okay.
What do you think?
I think that there are certain things that you hold within until you get to know the person well, because there's certain personal things about yourself you may not want to divulge right off the bat because you might lose that thing in your relationship. It's like, for example, if somebody wants to stay over, okay?
Yeah.
And you want them to stay over, but you don't really want them to stay over because you might sleep in a weird position, you might snore, right? See, these are things that people they need to get used to in a relationship. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's you to get to know each other.
Right.
And then you get to know each other and you accept each other, then it's no longer embarrassing at all.
It doesn't become disgusting?
It doesn't become disgusting.
Okay. Because sometimes you get like bubble guts, things happen and you say, oh my God, she's sleeping over.
You know what? It's human.
It is
human. Everyone gets it and everyone has it, so you just get to love it.
But it is a conversation, because even my daughter's talked to me about that on some occasions, and people get shy, and once you get past that barrier and you have a relationship and somebody stays over, and then you can build from there, you feel comfortable, and it's kind of nice. Okay. All right. Now the other one is, does it bother you if another person says he or she is sexy? For example, if I see a pretty girl, or you see a good-looking guy, or your spouse or whatever, and this is not necessarily you and I, but are you bothered by the fact that your boyfriend or your girlfriend finds somebody else sexy? Now, I have a view on that. I'm sure you have a view on that.
What's your view on it? Sexy?
My view is different, because I'm in the body business. I was a bodybuilder, and I was a wrestler, and I'm in fitness, and so I look at people's bodies, women and men, to see if they're in shape. And my eye just goes there. And if I see somebody who's in good shape, I'll say, hey, that woman's in good shape, she looks pretty. Or that guy's a good-looking guy, he looks great. I don't look at it as a threat to a relationship, but other people get very threatened who are insecure by it. What do you think?
Well, you in that industry?
Yeah.
I personally appreciate beauty. So if anybody or anything is beautiful or sexy or great looking or appealing, I'll notice that and I'll just appreciate that. Not necessarily thinking that sexy for me or for anything like that. It's not the sexual part of it. It's the beauty part of it.
Okay, I understand that, and you're right. But some people take it the other way. I've seen younger generations of my kids and their girlfriends back in the day, and maybe one of the girls get extremely jealous of my son if he looks at another girl. But that's their own insecurity coming out.
That's insecurity.
Right. So it shouldn't be something that's threatening if the person's being really honest and they're being open about it, saying, gee, that person looks great. Because I always felt like you give recognition to people who work hard for what they have.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that. The other thing is, people are always worried about, they'll read people's emails, they'll check their text messages, they want to know, have you snooped behind my back? Or is there something you're doing behind my back that I should know? And, you know, there are things that people do. What do you think about that?
Like what?
Well, for example, if someone catches somebody and they think they're snooping, should they confront them on it?
They should confront them on, and they shouldn't have a relationship. If they don't trust each other and they need to check on each other, then what's the relationship is all about? If
Exactly.
there's no trust. It's a matter of no trust or insecurity. Then the relationship is just not good.
Good point. If you have to snoop, if you're doing something behind your partner's back, then you know you're snooping, then you're not happy with your partner because you're not getting satisfied for something. And then you should tell that person, look, I'm looking over there because over here this isn't happening. And there's got to be a reason why. And if it's not working out for the two of you, then you split. But it's not good to go behind somebody's back and start doing something else. We've all been there, and it's not pleasant. It's not a nice thing to do. So I would say definitely don't be doing any snooping.
No, it's just not healthy.
Look at Snoop Dogg where he ended up. Okay, if there's one thing that you'd want to change about me, what is it?
What is it?
Well, let's see. There's always things when you go into a relationship that you like about a person, and over a period of time, there's things that maybe if they would do this or maybe they do that. I don't think, in my world, in my mind, that I would want somebody to change from the time that I met them because I was attracted to them for what and who they are. I like everything about them, and I don't want to change that person because if I change something about them, then they won't be the person I was attracted to.
Exactly. There's a good story about it. It's not a story, but it's actually happening in life all the time. You marry someone because you love them just because they are, and then for 20 years you try changing them, and then they become somebody else, and then you wake up one morning and goes, what happened to the guy I fell in love with? Well, 20 years you try to change them, right? And then, of course, there's no wonder they change now. Then it's not what they used to be 20 years ago.
That's so true. I mean, it's like, I saw a quote once that men marry a woman hoping that she'll stay the same, and a woman marries a man hoping that he'll change. If he can only do this.
Big mistake.
Yeah, big mistake, because people think, they marry people on potential. They say, oh, that person has so much potential, if I could just get him and I could do this with him. Well, you can't
change people unless they want to change.
And you can't change their potential. You know, you have to take them for what they are. They have to reach their own potential on their own path, their own way.
You made a choice, you stick with the choice. You have no right to cry about it after you made the choice.
Exactly. All right, next question. How would you describe, now this is a good one, how would you describe love?
I can't describe love. It's love.
I can.
Love is love. Describe.
Rick Drasin.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No, you know,
doctor.
It's hard to describe love. Love is not something you can put a pin on and say this is what it is. It's something that you feel, and you know when you feel it.
It comes out of your eyes.
Yeah.
You can sense it.
No, I have allergies. No. That's what's coming out of my eyes right now.
You can sense it.
You can sense
feel
it. You just feel it. You know it overall. You wake up and the feeling in your body and your mind that just never goes away.
I got butterflies in my stomach.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Color?
All kind of different color. They're just in my stomach, and there's anticipation of something good, and I know that's what it is.
Yeah, I get that too. The same thing. It's a good feeling. You know that when you have those butterflies, you anticipate something that's going to be wonderful, and if it continue to happen through your relationship, then you've always got something good going. And it's nice to, like, keeping that spark alive will keep those butterflies alive.
Don't take anything for granted ever.
No, ever, because it doesn't work that way. All right, this is a good one. The average duration of sex for most couples is around 10 minutes. How long do you think it should last? Well, I'm good for an hour and a half.
I support that.
I mean, it's true that the statistics say about 10 minutes.
It's not enough.
I don't think it's enough. I think what it is, I think you don't base it on the act itself. You base it on what's leading into it. That could be an hour, right?
You know, sex is between your ears, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's all start from there. You're building it up.
Right.
the sex itself as a technique, who knows? But it's what leads to it. So
Yeah, it could start in the kitchen.
it could start in the kitchen. It could start with conversation for for whatever time it is, and it builds up to it, and then you feel like you get more intimate, and you're more intimate, and making love. You can make it for 3 hours.
Or a whole day.
A whole day.
You got to take time to break and eat, and go to the bathroom, of course. But you shouldn't
Go
put a
to the
time.
gym.
Don't put a time limit on. Don't put a time limit.
time
Say,
limit.
this is our time together. It might take longer than you. Who knows? And just enjoy it for whatever it is. Time limits are not good.
Before and after.
Yeah, there's always the after effect too. You got to stick around a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
don't fall asleep right away.
Yeah. Yes, everybody does that. Those hormones leave the body, you conk right out. What's the most recent awkward moment you have had experience in that I don't know about? Now, for example, things have happened to people in a relationship where it's really awkward and the other person doesn't want to tell the other person because they're afraid that they won't like them for it. And sometimes you may not want to bring it up. It might not be worthy of bringing up.
I thought about that, and I couldn't find anything specifically. Awkward moments. Awkward silence sometimes happens. You have a conversation, then you don't have an answer or something, so you kind of get silent, and it's like awkward silence. Then you break it, but not specifically awkward moment. Did you have any?
No, not really. I think that when you're talking about silence being awkward, it is because if you're in a conversation, all of a sudden the person gets silent, you think, oh, did I say something wrong?
Yeah.
You've done that to me. What's wrong? You're so quiet. It's not really that. Sometimes I go into a zone where I'm thinking about something else, and it's something I need to do, and I forgot about it, and and then it plays on my mind. So I've got to go home. I can't forget. Well, like for example, we were talking yesterday, and all of a sudden I got quiet. Oh my God, I got to go home and do the property tax. It had nothing to do with anything we were talking about. It's just something I forgot, and you might take it. He's being quiet now. That something's wrong,
Yeah.
but that's not the case.
Well, that's a good awkward. There's nothing bad about that.
That's not awkward. It's just that it was a silent moment, and silent moments can be awkward. The other one is gas.
But you tell me about that one.
Yeah, we all have. Well, now I announce it, but we all have it, and it's like when the person leaves the room, and you got to let one out, and you go, "Oh my God, should I? Shouldn't I?" And then they walk back in, and you just then, well, I better want to go in there. I mean, this stuff happens.
Open the window.
Open the windows. Why do you think some couples end up cheating on each other?
Miscommunication. There's a bad communication between the people.
Yeah.
They don't talk. They don't sense each other. They don't know what they like and what they don't like. They don't open up to kind of express what their wants and what their needs, and the other side doesn't know it.
Yeah.
And then they start kind of shutting down and moving away and looking for that attention elsewhere.
This is very true, and the thing about that is that they're looking for something that they're not getting at home.
Absolutely.
And it's like the old saying, the grass is always greener. But my saying to the grass is always greener is once you get there, you got to mow it and pull the weeds. Mm-hmm. And it could be worse than the grass you have at home. 9 times out of 10 it is.
Absolutely.
What looks good to you for the moment ends up being something that down the road you wish you hadn't gotten yourself into. And then you've destroyed what you've had at home, and you can't go back, and you can't go forward, and you can't stay in that thing, so you got a mess. It's a big mess. So I think cheating is one of the worst things you can do. And plus I always said this to you when I met you. I said, you got to get up every morning and look in the mirror at yourself and like yourself.
Yeah.
And then you got to look at your kids, and we all have kids, and you got to look them in the eye and say, I'm a good person. I'm an honest person. I don't cheat on people. It's just not something that we do.
I mean, it's cheating or stealing or lying and
all
all
the
that.
same.
It's all the same. It's all just negative stuff. So prevent yourself from doing it or getting yourself in those kind of situations.
Right.
And some people said, well, it just happened. It wasn't under my control. Well, you know what? You never accidentally fall into a vagina. So there's never an accident. It's you going there, you want it. So there's never an accident.
I've never just fallen into one, no. All right, here's the last one. How could we make our sex life more interesting? So for a couple out there, what would you tell them to do to make it more interesting?
I think more interesting. Again, the method of surprise. You can prepare maybe a romantic dinner, maybe a different kind of look to yourself, a different food, and talk about it, lead the conversation to it. Don't just jump into it, and make it spark.
Okay.
You?
I think avoid arguments. I think that arguments can take the wind right out of a sexual relationship. Arguments take you into a different place, and then you don't want to be with that person. But like you say, going to dinner, have a nice dinner and time together, smell good, take care of yourself, be well groomed, make sure your breath is fresh. Those things are all really important, because close contact, just from wrestling alone, when I get in a ring with other guys and they had bad breath and BO, it's like, I don't want to be in this ring with them. You want to smell fresh and be fresh. And I think also looking in each other's eyes and touching and talking and feeling the romance and the love is very important leading up to anything. That's all part of what we do. And it's not just jumping in and then doing and getting out of there. It's all this other stuff. I mean, it's important. The touching is really important.
Well, because like I said, sex is a technique.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote a book on it.
Right, and how can you make your sex life more interesting? It's not only the sex; it's the romance.
Yeah.
It's the whole situation, how you put yourself into that situation to make it more interesting and fun and enjoyable and to the point that you want to come back and do it again.
Yeah, for repeat performance. Could be better than the last time. Every time, in all honesty, every time you do make love or have sex, there's two different things. Having sex is mechanical. Making love is part of the whole thing that makes it what it is. So every time that you do, you want to have it better than the time before. And it can be, if you put your whole heart and soul into it and your mind into it, and you feel good about that other person, you make that person feel good about themselves and about you, it's going to be the best every time. Am I right or wrong?
You just need to think about it, then yes, but you're right.
Okay. All right, so I got a tip of the week. The tip of the week is keep your romance, keep the spark in there. The first thing, like I said, is don't argue with your spouse. Don't create arguments and say, okay, let's go make love and make up sex, because
that never works.
That never works. You've got to have respect on both sides. You've got to love each other. You've got to have the feeling of wanting to be together, and surprises with flowers and dinners and whatever it takes to make that person, you know what makes that person happy, so make them happy, and they'll make you happy. And that's my tip of the week. You like that?
I'll accept.
Okay. I want to thank you for watching Tuff and Tender. You can catch me on RicDrasin.com, RicDrasin.com, and on Facebook, on Twitter. You can catch Inna on Facebook, and that's where we are. And we'll be here next week at 1 o'clock on Tuff and Tender at emPOWERme.tv. So stay tuned for another subject on Tuff and Tender and relationships. Thanks, Inna.
Thank you, Rick. I'll be back.
I'll be back, as Arnold said. Hi, I'm Ric Drasin, Tuff and Tender. I'm here to answer all your questions on dating, relationships, the good side, the tough side, the tender side. Every Friday, 1 p.m. on emPOWERme.tv. I'd love for you to subscribe. I'll be here. We'll be discussing relationships and dating and all the good, the bad, the pitfalls, and the ugly of it. Stay tuned and watch me next Friday, 1 p.m. emPOWERme.tv. Subscribe now.